In 1972, it took police nearly a minute to clear every room at the Munich Olympics, and in that extra time, 11 hostages died. That was the deadly flaw the world ignored until the SAS shattered tradition on live television, flooding rooms in seconds and leaving terrorists no chance. Why did Delta Force and every elite unit since abandon decades of doctrine overnight? The answer is buried in one tactic that changed the math of survival forever. Police and military doctrine in the 1960s treated every building like a fortress. Plans were always the same: move slowly, clear each corner, and hope for the best. Teams inched forward, one man at a time, scanning for threats, their silhouettes framed in doorways. It took nearly a full minute to clear a single room, 45 to 60 seconds of creeping, deliberate movement. The thinking was that slow meant safe, that caution would protect lives, but the math never worked. Human reaction time is half a second. If it takes 5 seconds to enter, the person inside the room has 10 times the chance to shoot first. Each second spent in the doorway is a second where the defender has every advantage, cover, concealment, and a clear shot at anyone coming through. At the Munich Olympics in 1972, this flaw became impossible to ignore. German police, trained in the old method, advanced methodically on the terrorists holding Israeli athletes. Their slow approach gave the attackers all the time they needed. 11 hostages died before police even reached their position. The world saw that deliberate clearing was not just slow, it was deadly. The defenders always saw the rescuers coming. The rescuers always hesitated, and that hesitation cost lives. Every second counted against the hostages. The old doctrine turned every doorway into a death trap. It was a problem that demanded a solution, one that would force militaries to rethink everything they thought they knew about close combat in cities and buildings. At 7:23 p.m. on May 5, 1980, the world watched as the SAS launched its assault on the Iranian embassy in London. 6 terrorists held 26 hostages inside. After a hostage was executed and thrown from a balcony, there was no more time for negotiation. Explosives shattered windows and doors. Stun grenades erupted, flooding the rooms with light and sound. Black-clad operators abseiled from the roof and surged in from the ground. This was immediate action, no longer theory or a training exercise, but a live demonstration in front of millions. 4-man teams moved with practiced precision, each operator knowing their exact role. The first man entered in under 1 second, followed by his teammates in a seamless wave. In less than 3 seconds, each room was cleared, threats were identified and neutralized in a fraction of a second, 0.3 seconds to decide. No hesitation allowed. Hostages were shielded and ushered to safety before the gunmen could even process what was happening. The entire operation was over in 17 minutes. 5 terrorists lay dead, 1 was captured alive, and 25 hostages walked out. The BBC live broadcast captured every moment, providing irrefutable proof that a new era in close-quarters battle had arrived. The old, slow methods were finished. The SAS had shown in real time that speed, aggression, and precision could turn the odds in favor of the rescuers. That footage would soon become the most studied 17 minutes in special operations history. Delta Force was born in 1977, shaped by Colonel Charlie Beckwith's vision of an American unit on par with the world's best. Early training borrowed heavily from what was available: FBI and police SWAT tactics, which still relied on slow, methodical clearing. Operators drilled patience and caution, but the core problem remained. In a real crisis, those methods left the attackers with all the time they needed. April 1980 brought a reckoning. Operation Eagle Claw, the failed attempt to rescue hostages in Iran, exposed deep flaws in American special operations, coordination, speed, and above all, close-quarters tactics. The mission's collapse triggered a full review at the Pentagon and within Delta itself. That summer, Delta's leadership gathered to study every second of the Iranian embassy siege in London. The footage revealed a simple, brutal truth. The SAS cleared rooms in less than 3 seconds. In a building with 20 rooms, that meant the difference between 5 minutes and 15 minutes. Fewer hostages died, fewer operators got hit. The numbers were impossible to ignore. Memos circulated at the highest levels of the Department of Defense. The conclusion was clear. Delta's approach had to change, not just in theory, but in every detail of training, equipment, and mindset. The order came down: build a program from the ground up, centered on speed, aggression, and precision. The old methods were retired overnight. The next step was to create a place where this new doctrine could be forged into muscle memory, a facility dedicated to practicing and perfecting the art of immediate action, no matter the cost. Delta's transformation began with a building, but superiority came from what happened inside. At Fort Bragg, the new facility was more than just walls and doors. It was an engine for relentless repetition. Operators trained 4 to 6 hours a day, running live fire drills over and over until every movement became automatic. The standard was not just proficiency, it was perfection. Each man was expected to perform 10,000 entries, burning the immediate action sequence into muscle memory. Mistakes had real consequences. Live ammunition meant that even in training, injuries happened. Several operators were wounded over the years, a price accepted as necessary to make the training real. Inside the house, every role was defined and specialized. The breacher handled doors and obstacles. The point man led the first charge, while rear security watched for threats from behind. Each operator learned to trust the others completely. The team flowed as a single unit, each person's actions timed to the split second. Weapons were adapted for the mission: short-barreled rifles for tight corners, weapon-mounted lights, and laser-aiming devices for instant target acquisition. Flashbangs were refined to produce more disorienting effects, and breaching charges became more reliable and safer to use in confined spaces. The regimen demanded more than just speed. Operators drilled threat discrimination, identifying hostages from gunmen in less than a blink, under stress and with live rounds. The standard was simple: clear a room in under 2 seconds, hit the right target, and move to the next without hesitation. This was not just training for Delta, it became a system others could adopt, a blueprint for any unit willing to put in the work and accept the risks. Delta's new doctrine faced its first real tests on live battlefields. In 1983, operators stormed buildings during the invasion of Grenada, using immediate action drills to sweep through enemy positions before defenders could react. 6 years later in Panama, the same tactics cleared compounds and safe houses as Delta hunted Manuel Noriega's loyalists. But the true crucible came in October 1993 on the streets of Mogadishu. After 2 Black Hawk helicopters were shot down, Delta teams fought through a city block by block, clearing houses under fire and dragging wounded teammates to safety. One operator later summed up the experience: "We cleared rooms the way we trained. 2 seconds, move to next. Training saved us." These operations proved that the borrowed SAS technique, speed, aggression, and precision meant survival, not just success, when every second counted. By the early 1990s, immediate action drills had become the gold standard for hostage rescue and close-quarters battle around the world. FBI hostage rescue team operators trained side by side with Delta at Fort Bragg, bringing the same relentless repetition and split-second threat assessment to American law enforcement. NATO partner units rewrote their own playbooks, adopting the doctrine that speed and precision save lives. Training exchanges between the SAS and Delta continued, each unit learning from the other, never claiming sole ownership. The legacy is clear. What began as a British solution, perfected in America, now belongs to every elite unit that values lives over pride. The lesson endures. Humility, not ego, drives progress when the stakes are life and death. Now, every major counterterrorism unit on Earth uses principles forged in those first brutal seconds of entry. The margin for survival shrank from minutes to moments, and that edge shapes every rescue today. In the end, the world's deadliest rooms are cleared by those willing to learn, adapt, and move with speed.